Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week. It's Top Censored News of the Week. We're bringing you the stories the mainstream media just refuses to cover. If they do cover them, they always do it in a very dishonest or sloppy way, and it's always on purpose. So we're going to count down the top 3 stories that they're not telling you, or they're doing it in a kind of a dishonest way. So we'll start with the first one. Coming in at number 3, despite what mainstream media tells you, Iran did not strike the Soroka hospital. The target was Israel's intelligent campus nearby. Let's hear the report from CBS first, and then we'll tell you the real story.
Israel and Iran remain locked in a deadly exchange of aerial assaults. The conflict is now into its 7th day, and U.S. President Donald Trump is keeping the world guessing about whether the United States will back its ally and get involved. This is some of the aftermath of Iran's latest wave of retaliatory airstrikes. The targets included the main hospital in southern Israel and sites around Tel Aviv. A hospital statement said several parts of the facility were damaged and that the emergency room was treating several injuries from the strike. Iran says it was responding to an Israeli strike on its Arak heavy water nuclear reactor. Israel's defense minister says he has ordered the army to, quote, intensify strikes on Iran after that hospital attack, and says Iran's supreme leader will be, quote, held accountable.
No, that's not actually what happened. Of course, when you just watch mainstream media, you're going to get the ongoing impression that Iran is not to be trusted. Iran likes to bomb civilians. Everything is backwards, guys. We're living in literally a bizarro world where the things that Israel accuses, and again, it's not just Israel. It's they got the backing of the U.S. They got the backing of our Congress. They got the backing of our media. That's the most important one, is the media. That's Western media, not just the stations here, not just CNN and MSNBC and Fox News reporting to us here, and ABC and CBS too. Let's not forget them. But it's the European outlets as well. So all of them in coordination will feed you the BS that Iran is the one not to be trusted. Iran is the one leaving the negotiating table. We're going to bring in co-host Craig Pasta to help us break down this story, because there's a lot there's a lot going on here, and we don't want to skip over it. Here we go. Pasta, there you are. Hey, man.
All right, so you see these things, you see the mainstream media, Iran is doing this, Russia was attacking civilians always and stuff. When you do see bombs going from Iran to Israel, right, and after seeing what's going on for Gaza for so long, you kind of get a sense of like glee or joy or happiness or relief of sorts, to be like, okay, now they're going to get a taste of their own medicine of what's going on. But then you got to stop yourself and go, wait, these are bombs. At the end of the day, it's sad because you don't know who's going to pay the price, because at the end of the day, the oligarchs are the ones playing the games and we're paying the price. We're paying the price. So you got to kind of stop and rewind, check yourself. And even if the situation was different, I remember, I think Fiorella was talking on the show when we were talking about it, like Iran might have killed 4 people in their first couple of days of attacks, because they're not trying to kill people. They're not using excuses, where Israel right away killed 60 people to kill 2 people, right? They got 2 people, but they had to kill 60 people. They don't care. They look at it as collateral damage. Iran, a little bit different. They're going to destroy communications. They're going to go after airfields. They're going to do things, go after military spots and avoid as many casualties as possible. That's what really appears to be happening, but we have it being played the other way around. It still doesn't matter. There's no heroes, there's no victors, there's only victims of war. And that's something we have to remember, because the oligarchs, at the end of the day, they're not the ones getting killed. They're not the ones getting bombed. It's all us that are paying the price.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't hear the show a rendezvous. I'm kind of excited. I wore my pink shirt for you, baby. I'm ready to rock and roll. There's a lot of news to cover.
There's a lot. And the reason why we do this top censored news is times like these, where this massive campaign against humanity, that on behalf of Israel, on behalf of the warmongers, on behalf of the neocons, on behalf of the people that control the world, right? The ones who control the world. This massive campaign, it hits us in so many ways that we miss these little, and I don't even call them little nuggets. These are little stories that will come and go, and nobody will think about or talk about it. And we have to point them out when they happen, because it's just another notch on the belt for what they got away with. And then when we find ourselves in these conversations where they go, well, Israel hasn't done it. And then they're like, give me one example. You're like, oh my God, there's like 200, 300 examples. I can't even, which one do you want me to start with? Well, week by week, there's more and more examples. For example, this third story that we're covering, this is not the way they're just reporting on this one attack is completely dishonest. So we're here to call this shit out. That's what we're doing. So this hospital that everybody reported on, CBS, we just played the clip. CBS reports that this hospital, Soroka Hospital, was targeted by Iran as to suggest that they're trying to kill people in their hospitals. Whereas we know that it's actually Israel who targets hospitals in Gaza. We know that for a fact. They've destroyed every single one of them. There's 36 of those hospitals. They're gone, completely annihilated. The reason why they were able to spin this story is because the way they set what Israel does is they put their military bases right underground, right under the hospital. That's funny, Craig, because it sounds like, wasn't that what they said that Hamas did? Yeah, that was, so everything is backwards. Everything is backwards. So we're going to call this one out. This is, as Solomon Ahmad says, it's a false flag. Iran did not strike Soroka Hospital. The buildings had minor impact by the shockwaves from a missile targeting an Israeli command and intelligence base. The target was the Israeli Army's Central Command and Intelligence Base and a military intelligence camp located in the Gav Yam Technology Park, adjacent to Soroka Hospital. So, and let me see the rest. Yeah. So thousands of Israeli soldiers are based in that location. The house critical systems such as digital command infrastructure, cyber operations, and C4ISR systems. This both of the, and I'm going to show you this visual so you guys can see, both of the below military buildings located at the medical center. The Israeli Army Communications. I'm going to show you this in a second, but these are the two spots that they did hit. It's the Central Command Intelligence Center and the Israelis' intelligence campus. The medical center was not the target. There was, however, minor damage, as they said, by shockwaves. Here is the actual map. So you got the medical center in between, and that's by design. And then you have these targets that they actually did hit. So here's a video from inside the hospital, and you'll be able to tell that they are watching this happen and they're feeling the shockwaves. So that's the actual target. This is inside the hospital. The shockwaves took out the windows. So that hospital was not hit, just to be absolutely clear, it was not hit. Now, underneath the hospital, we have this. Isn't that funny, Craig, that this is exactly what they've been accusing Hamas of doing?
But is that true, for confirmed? Is that AI? How do we really confirm that? I saw one of those with the Star Death Destroyer underneath it, right? Like the Star Wars Death Destroyer under a hospital, like one of these blue-red things. I mean, how do we know for sure we
can't confirm that this particular graphic is 100% accurate, but what we can confirm is that Israel strategically does this. That's why so whatever you're accusing your enemy of doing, you're doing this on.
Yeah.
We know this for a fact. So this, I don't know if this particular graphic was 100% checked out, but this is just so you guys can understand that it's always projection. This is Freud 101. This is projection. All right. You're putting it on the person, your enemy, of the thing that you're actually doing. Just a reminder, this is what they're actually doing.
Gaza.
Yep. Yeah, that's what they're actually doing. So just to keep a perspective of that, yeah, this is when Israel bombed the first hospital in Gaza, the world wouldn't believe it. And Israel blamed a misfired rocket from Hamas. That's right. If you guys remember, that happened, the first hospital. Mm-hmm. Israel has now destroyed all, like we said, all 36 hospitals in Gaza, including its largest, the Al-Shifa Hospital. Mm-hmm. They have no right to complain. And that sums it up right there. There you go.
Well, I don't think they're complaining. I think they're just using it to manufacture consent for what they want to do, right? Like you said, put what you're doing projected on your enemy, especially if you're the ones who are, I mean, I'm so sorry. It doesn't really take a genius to figure out that the way our military has been acting, the way the Israeli IDF's been acting, the way the West has been acting, that, we're the ones who have a little bit less care for life in general out there. You know what I'm saying? I think it benefits Iran, it benefits Hamas, it benefits Hezbollah if they are trying to just go after military targets only. Because if they can do, what the IDF, remember when they made that claim, the most humane military in the world, they were saying and stuff. If they can do that, it will benefit them on a national scale, at least the marketing would, but at the end of the day, it's, how do you get involved? How is Iran going to get to a position where they're not going to get any innocent people? It's just going to happen. And really, I know that we'll have a lot of people arguing, well, they weren't innocent. They went to Israel and, they had rights to that land based upon phony laws and a colonization. I get it that people are going to do that. That doesn't mean I think a lot of those people essentially deserve to die. There are going to be some serious casualties of war,
Yeah.
That's why war sucks.
Well, piggybacking off of that story, coming in at number 2, another massacre committed by Israeli forces against civilians waiting for aid in the Talia area east of Khan Yunis. Yeah, that's, again, this happens every week, but here we go again. This is breaking.
Hunger Games. It's literally the Hunger Games.
Yeah. This is the 60 slaughtered civilians, literally targeted, the 60 civilians, and these are the scenes from it. I'm going to say there's a warning for content on this one, but this is the aftermath of that slaughter. Somebody going through with their camera phone. Yeah, F it. I'm just going to put it up. This is because the mainstream media won't even tell you this happened. This just happened, by the way, 2 days ago.
مساعدات منتظرين المساعدات مجزرة بحق الشهداء منتظرين المساعدات مجزرة بحق المنظر مجزرة حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل خلي العالم تشوف خلي العالم كلها تشوف حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل عشرات الشهداء مجزرة عشرات الشهداء حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل خان يونس حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل منطقة التحلية حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل.
They brought a large caliber gun too.
I want to remind people the difference of living in Tel Aviv right now and living in Gaza for the last several, and well before October 7th, just the difference of it. One side occupies the other. They control them. So when you're talking about buildings getting annihilated, and we are seeing a lot of images obviously coming out of Tel Aviv, they're getting punished by Iran right now. That's happening. Yes. And there are deaths. Yes. But because of the two areas, one is occupying the other. When the civilians in Israel come out to inspect their damage, or they come out to tend to their wounded, or they come out, they don't have to worry about getting mauled down again on top of that. They don't have to worry about starving to death. They don't have to worry about going to get food because they haven't been fed in months. And as they're getting the food, they get murdered. They don't have to worry about that.
Yes.
Well, no, they won't, because that's not how we don't.
They're yachting out of there right now.
Look, I'm going to make a bold claim and say that's not ever going to be a thing in Israel. Even if like Israel goes, whatever. Israel goes down, they get shipped out. They want to leave. A lot of them are trying to leave right now. That's another story. They were told, no, you can't. You have to stay put. You're not allowed to
leave.
So they're getting a little taste of open air prison right now because they're being told not to leave. A lot of them are leaving anyways. But the point is they don't have to worry about going outside and being targeted civilians. That's not a thing. They're the only ones that do that. They're the only ones that, as people are getting food, you blow up the food, you blow up the aid workers. So they don't have to worry about that. Aid workers delivering supplies to Tel Aviv. You think they'll ever have to worry? Oh my God. That's not a thing. So just to keep a perspective of what these people in Gaza have had to deal with this entire time.
Yeah. It's not about protecting themselves, Israel. It's about getting those other people out of there. They don't want them there, the government. Now, I don't know. They say the majority of Israelis go along with it. Shame on them. This is not what you do. This is not how you do these things. And I mean, it's I don't know. The story is so far down the rabbit hole. It's been going on for so damn long. I mean, this is the end game right now. This is controlled starvation. This is mass murder. I mean, like I said, I'm at a point right now where I understand where a lot of people are staying and they don't want to leave and they want to fight for their land no matter what. But it's like, I just want them to survive as a species right now. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, if it was up to me, Palestine would be Palestine. But, it's not up to me. It's not up to you. And there's only so much we can do. I mean, but right now, I mean, we're coming to fruition and we're seeing with this whole Iranian situation, I hope we can realize that we got to end the occupation of our government. This is ridiculous right now.
And speaking of the occupation of our government, and this is why our number one story is probably the most important we've had in a long time. This is very, very important. Let's go ahead and bring this one up. Coming in at number one, top censored news of the week. Iran and U.S. negotiations were deliberately sabotaged by Netanyahu, and Trump went along with it. Let's talk it through. Here it is. This is Trump's tweet last week where he said, 2 months ago, I gave Iran a 60-day ultimatum to make a deal. They should have done it. Today is day 61. I told them what to do, but they just couldn't get there. Now they have perhaps a second chance. No, they don't have a second chance. You pulled the carpet out from under them, not because I believe not because you decided. It's because Netanyahu decided. And the 60-day, if you look at the calendar, it was Friday the 13th. That was the 60-day, but that was never an ultimatum. This is a retroactive ultimatum that is initiated after the fact. How do we know this? Because on day 62 or day 63, whichever it is, 2 or 3, which was Sunday, this last Sunday, that negotiation was set up already on the calendar to end this thing. That was the day. So the fact that you're retroactively calling it a 60-day clock is dishonest, and it's setting this up for again another justification to say, well, they had a chance. Well, let's break this down even further. Let's go with so this is Tom Cotton trying to get away with this on CBS and actually getting an actual good question back. Not really a follow-up, but at least one good question. Here it is.
Capacity that the window to actually stop Iran from entering that zone of immunity was rapidly closing.
But why Thursday night? There seems to be a difference in this idea of a sprint.
Well, as President Trump said on Friday morning that he had given Iran 60 days to make a deal, and that was day 61.
Talks on day 63. You know that. I mean, this wasn't really a hard deadline.
He gave them 60 days, and on day 61, the strikes began.
Day 63, Steve Witkoff wanted to meet with him. And
to be clear, it's not that he wanted to meet. The meeting was scheduled. The meeting was actually scheduled. So this timeline is important. So what happened on Thursday night, Friday morning? Well, one of the lead negotiator, Shamkhani, am I saying that right? Ali Shamkhani was an Arab Iranian who served as a senior advisor to Supreme Leader Khamenei. He played a central role in the regional diplomacy, from brokering the 2023 Iran-Saudi normalization deal to leading Iran's nuclear negotiation team in talks with the U.S. In a rare interview with NBC's Richard Engel 2 weeks ago, he laid out Tehran's core demands for a deal with the U.S. He was assassinated. This was on Thursday night, Friday morning. He was assassinated by Israel in a strike on his home yesterday, just days before the next round of nuclear talks was set to begin. And that was set on Sunday. This is him being interviewed about the deal that never could take place because it was hijacked. Here it is.
We are ready.
Shamkhani is one of the few people in Iran authorized to speak about the sensitive negotiations.
We can definitely have better relations with the U.S.
Shamkhani said that Iran is willing to commit to never having a nuclear weapon, to getting rid of its stockpiles of highly enriched uranium, to only enriching to a level needed for civilian use, and to allow inspectors in to oversee it all, in exchange for lifting all sanctions immediately. He said Iran would accept that deal tonight.
And now there is no deal because if you were to walk into the negotiating room on Sunday, you would see 4 empty chairs. Those 4 chairs, one of them he used to sit in, and 3 others. So there were actually 4, all 4 negotiators were murdered. He was the lead one. His family was murdered too. All of this took place Thursday night, Friday morning. And the media spin on this is absolutely disgusting. And the only conversation we should be having is who initiated this, who's to blame, Netanyahu or Trump. I happen to think Netanyahu, but this is not the conversation the media wants us to have. The media wants us to talk about Iran pulling out and what are we supposed to do. And Trump is trying to figure this out. And Netanyahu wants, hey, you got to get our back. That's the conversation they want to have. And this is important because it was Professor Marandi from Tehran. He goes on Sky News and destroys this narrative. This is very important because he's reporting from Tehran, and he's going to call out the Sky News reporter of the BS report they're trying to do on what just happened. He puts it together very nicely. Check it out.
But how do you know?
So are you denying that the top commanders are being killed? Are you denying the top commanders were killed?
Oh, so you mean what you're referring to basically is an attack, an act of aggression, that they suddenly fire missiles at civilian targets at apartment buildings and slaughter people in those apartment buildings, slaughtering whole families. For you, that's targeting. That's a really sophisticated act.
But if I can just ask, have military facilities been hit? Have nuclear facilities been hit?
One of the buildings that had some of these commanders, 1 or 2 of these commanders, was a large apartment building where they killed everyone, 60 people, 20 children. That's not important for people like you, but that's important for people like us. For you, people like you who support ethno-supremacism and the chosen people being able to slaughter and exterminate
Professor
Palestinians.
Marandi, I'm just trying to get the perspective. We're trying to give you airtime so that you can give us the Iranian perspective on this. And we want to know, and I want to understand, Iran's position here. Will you come to the negotiating table now? Donald Trump, after these series of airstrikes and this attack was launched, called on Iran to come back to the negotiating table. As the spokesperson of the regime, or as someone who worked closely with the negotiating team, do you believe they will come to the negotiating table now?
Well,
first of all, they're dead, so there's that. But yeah, please call her out. Here he goes.
Your regime should know, and your news agency or your TV channel should know better. We were at the negotiating table. It was Trump that conspired with Netanyahu to attack Iran. This is how you twist the truth. You shouldn't invite me because you're easily exposed. Iran was negotiating. Initially, Trump had one position, and so did Witkoff. And then they flipped and said no enrichment. And then they continued the negotiations. And the night before the attack, Trump said that we don't want war. And then after the attack, he said, we're all for it. And you're saying Iran? Is Iran going to come back to the negotiating table? The audacity. Come on. Be a bit, show at least a bit of integrity. A bit of integrity will help.
Okay, Professor Marandi, thanks again for joining us here on the program.
Like Professor Morandi, he's great. It's crazy though. The United States does in their media, and same with the Western media, they set these parameters like these, but what about Hamas? October 7th, that was a big one. Like, wait a second, that's not the whole story. You're just yelling Hamas without any, context. The fighting has been going on way before October 7th, and then Professor Morandi laid it out. They were at the negotiating table. What are you talking about? There's a video that's floating around there. There's two videos in particular. And I can't remember. It was this old Palestinian leader, and they were asking him, and it was black and white. Like, are you going to come back to the peace talks? It's not talks. It's not negotiation. What the United States and the West want, what Israel wants, is capitulation. There's no talks. There's no negotiation. They wouldn't need to negotiate. What do they have to negotiate? Iran has the right to do what they want to enrich their uranium for their people, for their power. And if Israel has a nuclear weapon, then anybody else in that region should be able to obtain a nuclear weapon. I mean, it's not negotiation. It's capitulation. It's crazy. The other video that's going around, by the way, is an old video. I think it was 2014 of Patrick Henningsen, friend of the show. And he was talking about what dominoes would have to fall before Israel attacked Iran. And those dominoes were Syria. That regime had to be removed and stuff, where they would cut off the bloodline to Hezbollah in Lebanon. And then therefore also the bloodline to helping out Gaza was all cut off. So this is all fallen into place. Lebanon, Syria, Gaza, it was the opportunity and the timing about attacking Iran. This wasn't just like a recent thought. They've been planning on attacking Iran for decades. They've been waiting for it. They've been waiting for the right time. And these dominoes had to play. And it just shows you, I blame Donald Trump just as much as Netanyahu. In fact, I blame Donald Trump more because he's the president of the country that I live in, and he's supposed to represent my country. He's supposed to be, representing us. But obviously he represents the oligarchs. We know how the system works and stuff. He's here to make sure that the greater Israel project continues and moves forward. That's what his job is. You can't be America first if you're Israel first. Been the same for quite some time. He's been responsible. I think we all saw this coming. Douglas McGregor has said for months that Donald Trump has already agreed to get involved with an attack on Iran. It's just when. Well, they were waiting for when. There's the when.
So I'm going to step back from making this a Trump problem. I'm going to make this it's a United States of America problem, that he is showing us how bad it actually is, that a guy like that would have zero to very little wiggle room at all to do anything other than what Netanyahu wants him to do. This is what I'm seeing, the positioning, the repositioning. Netanyahu, between the two of them, Netanyahu is the one that doesn't waver. Trump has to continually tweet out something that opposes the last tweet. Constantly. He's being told, no, you did. He said, I didn't know about it. Oh, I'm sorry. I did know. And then Netanyahu gives him cover and goes, yeah, no, the reason he did that was because that's how you do the little bait and switch. That's how you do a little distraction. But he knew the whole time, and we were high-fiving about it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a guy that has little to no wiggle room to do anything other than what the Greater Israel Project plan is, and that he is realizing, even though he probably goes to sleep at night, and I'm speculating. This is my analysis. I imagine a narcissistic game show host, who we know Trump to be, going to sleep at night in the Oval Office. I imagine he's thinking of a way to solve this Rubik's Cube, thinking of a way, how can at the end of the day I can come out ahead? I can come out as the guy who solved this Rubik's Cube that no one else could solve. I'll figure it out a way. I'll get my Nobel Peace Prize. This is the delusion of a narcissist that thinks he can still find a way through. He can't find a way through. And I think rather than us saying, you son of a bitch, how dare you do this to us? This is the moment we have to understand our country's been hijacked this entire time. And anybody in his position right now would have to understand that and would have to go along with it. We know Kamala would not in a heartbeat, Kamala say, pass me another martini. We're bombing Iran. Like, that's not. So I'm just saying, let's remember there's nobody else in that position that could do this. One more point to understand that somebody like Donald Trump would not want to be doing what he's doing right now because he understands his base is divided. This is not something he would want to willingly bring on to his own self. He got elected. Obviously, he was handpicked by the deep state, all that, but got the public opinion because of three different people. This is the reason. It was Tulsi Gabbard, it was RFK Jr., and it was Elon Musk. These are three ex-Democrats, people that left the capture of the Democratic Party, went off on their own, and eventually came into Trump's movement. And that was enough for people who were not considered themselves MAGAs, not considered themselves part of that 2016 movement, certainly didn't consider themselves part of the January 6th movement 4 years later, but they felt they could be accepted into this inclusive group. And remember, MAGAs became very inclusive in this last election, where the Dems were they were exclusive. They were like, you don't check these boxes, get the hell out, which is why RFK left, which is why Tulsi left. They were pushed out. And Elon said, I'm done with that too. So watching Trump treat all three of these people, I mean, RFK, he's just been pulling along. Like, come on, dude. Like, dude, you can't do anything you wanted to do. Fine. Tulsi, leaving her out right now, making her look like an idiot. Oh, I don't care what she says. Elon, that whole thing. So he's losing the people that got him here. So there's no reason Trump would be doing that unless he had no other choice at this point. It doesn't, to me, I don't see any other way at this point. And I'm not holding my breath like he's got some genius plan. Obviously, he's not playing 6D chess. He's playing checkers. Israel is playing the 6D chess. This is what you're 100% right, Craig, about the Syria. All these things had to happen. This is how you set up a checkmate. Iran is the checkmate, and you have to set your pieces up. So every one of those, I 100% agree. Every one of those pieces had to be set up. Queen is now in place. Assad is out. Here we go. Let's do it. And Trump is unfortunately the vessel and the face of the thing, but he's not calling any of the shots. That's my take.
Yeah, I mean, whether he's calling the shots or not, and I don't think he is either, kind of there with you. I think even there's people who sit high above Netanyahu, and he's just, directing things. Same thing with Zelensky over in Ukraine, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, what difference does it make at this point? The big problem is that people are still making excuses for Donald Trump as if he's trying and he's still doing this. I saw Matt Gaetz, a little clip from Matt Gaetz going off on what's going over there, but once again, still providing cover that the president's trying to do, blah, blah, blah. So the important thing is that, I mean, I don't know how you sell it. Okay, fine. You still want to make excuses for Donald Trump, but can't you see either you're going to hold his decisions against on him and make him responsible for his decisions, or you just accept the fact that we should never play into this two-party duopoly because they're just going to just continue to do what they're doing, and move us to where they want to move us. I mean, it's just, yeah.
But that would be the ultimate takeaway. Wouldn't that be the ultimate takeaway if everybody could just have this aha moment together? Because obviously the left is beaten. They love the Trump is Hitler. They love the no kings. We know all that. They love it. Like get rid of him and everything will be great. He's the bad apple.
We'll be at brunch.
Right, but let's understand as everybody together, wherever you're coming from, we need to understand the entire system's captured, the entire Congress is captured, every single administration has been captured. We're just all got to be done with it. So it's not about giving Trump cover. It's about understanding that there is there's no new administration that can come up in the way it's designed now. Nobody can get into that position and change that. So we have to destroy the entire thing from the outside in and revamp it. That would be the model. I think the biggest takeaway, the most honest takeaway for everyone would be that, rather than this guy, he should have crossed Netanyahu and said F you. He should have pulled a JFK and gotten knocked in the head in his next little tour around Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Like let's figure out how we can fix the entire system, not just get rid of one person. But
you made your debut on WBAI the other day, and I said, "What's the number one problem?" I still think it's what Dr. Shiva talked about, and like I said, it's never about the person; it's about the message. That's the most important thing, and the message is true, and the message should be repeated right now. We need to end the occupation of our government, right?
Yeah, and the occupation of our government.
Exactly. I mean, I do have kind of like a Marxist mentality as far as when he says we got to blow the whole thing up and start over again. I kind of feel that way in a way, That's the part of the Marxism I kind of agree with, like the whole medical system just needs to be blown up and started over again too, as well. I mean, it's just, these things are just rapid runaway trains that until we figure out how we get a hold of them and change them, life's not going to change. And right now we have psychopaths just running the freaking world. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know it's like if we can change anything before they blow it up.
We may not have many options at this point, but hey, we'll go down fighting. And I just think it's important we just get the information out to people so they're not stuck in their little tribes. They don't know. They know the ship is sinking, but they don't know why. We're just trying to tell them why, because it was never a working ship from the beginning. That's why. Okay, that should do it for Top
Censored News of the Week.
The week.